Diane Schmidt, I think. Did that. Okay, vocabulary. So the extensive reading. That's pretty much it done in my book clubs. Very, very simple idea. Okay, there's nothing clever about what I do at all. I'm not trying to stand here saying, oh, look at my great idea. It's not about that. It's very, very simple. It's something that I think is simple to incorporate into most language courses. Extensive reading. And you get your learners reading outside of the course or inside your classes and then discussing it. I think it's really, really key. More so for recycling. Okay? Recycling grammar, recycling vocabulary. Well, recycling is really key in language acquisition. Okay? And it's something that course books can't do. They can't recycle things sufficiently. They're not meant to either. I'm not anti-course books at all. But they don't recycle vocabulary sufficiently. And they can't recycle grammar sufficiently. And if you're teaching, you know, how much do you recycle what you're teaching? The graded readers at a level 2 will cover most of the grammar, if you're teaching ESOL, for entry 3. Okay, all the grammar that you need at that level will be covered in a level 2 book, which is quite low. And it's recycled over and over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to look at high frequency vocabulary. Some things with dictionaries that we can use. This is something that I do with my learners that works particularly well. How to use word cards for vocabulary and how to recycle. Okay, just have a quick read of these quotes by some researchers. Okay, so quite strong stuff there. Now what these graded readers do, because they're based on high frequency vocabulary, they recycle this necessary vocabulary over and over and over. And what I do is point my students towards Longman Online Dictionary. There's other dictionaries that do this too, but for any of you that aren't familiar with this, if you were to type a word, I've got the word fine just for this example, it will tell you, if it's here, it's in the most common 1,000 written words in English, okay? In the most 1,000 common spoken words in English, okay? So what your learners can then do is they can make a choice of whether that vocabulary, that particular lexical item, is worth learning or not. There's a lot of research, nation included, saying that it's not high frequency, it's not worth spending a lot of time trying to learn. The 2,000 most frequent words are more important to learn explicitly than any other. Okay, your learners can make conscious decisions of what is worth spending time trying to learn by using the dictionary in this way. Okay, so that's what I do. I teach them about using this dictionary, how to use it, and find the frequency of the words. And then I get them to make their own word cards. Okay, so they'd start with a card, blank piece of card. And on one side, they'd write the word that they don't know. They can identify this word from a graded reader. Okay, so if they're reading, I don't get them to use dictionaries at all. Not at all. But if there's a word they don't know, if it's below their level, it shouldn't be too many words. They just write the word at the side. Okay, just quickly. Carry on reading. Okay. By the time they finish the book, there should maybe be 6 or 7 words, if that. And then at that point, they can put the words into the dictionary. Now, if it's a graded reader, you can be pretty sure that it's going to be high frequency vocabulary. Okay, they would write the word onto the card. On the back of the card, I've done this in Italian because I speak a bit of Italian, they'd write the word in their language. Okay, it's very important they get that translation. And then below it, they would write the sentence that it occurred in. So if they found the word in a graded reader, they would go back through the book and find the sentence that occurred in. So then they're getting the collocations and all sorts of words that it goes with. But leaving out the word, this is really, really important, okay, that word is missing and it's on the other side. This offers the chance of retrieval. Okay, trying to retrieve that vocabulary or anything in English language, retrieval is a huge part of acquisition. Okay, giving them the opportunity to try and think what that word is. These cards are very, very simple, yes? Very simple. The learners can make these themselves and look at them while they're eating the cornflakes. Okay, really, really simple stuff. Now, the important thing, it comes from the learners. Now, if you've got a class of 20 students, they're coming up with their own vocabulary lists. You're not prescribing to them. You're not telling them what vocabulary to learn. They're telling you what they need to learn. It's high-frequency vocabulary. It's important stuff. So the learners then produce their own vocabulary lists. So maybe after a couple of weeks, they've got a list of 10 or 15 words. Each one of them, they can give you this list. Okay, so you've got a list of 20 students, each with their vocabulary lists. What can you do with this vocabulary? You can start recycling that into your classroom materials and everything. And the more they read, the more they're going to see these words, the more these words then become automatic, the more they become fluent readers. So the other thing is that they offer opportunities for retrieval. And the other thing I do is get learners to teach each other their new vocabulary in the classroom. So when they turn up to their classroom, in the lesson, they can teach a few of their new words to each other. Now, the other people aren't going to learn these words, but it reinforces it for the people doing the teaching. Okay, this is the important thing here. So they're learning their vocabulary even more by teaching it to the other people in the class. Now, if you do work in an FE college, you probably have to do an ILP, so an individual learning plan. This is great for ILPs. It couldn't be more individual. Okay, your learners are choosing their own vocabulary. And so then they've got targets. They're going to learn this many words in this week, or something like that. It's really, really good for ILPs. And like I say, what I do is recycle this into classroom materials. Okay, so by reading a lot, extensively, the graded readers, this high-frequency vocabulary becomes recycled, so then it becomes learned. Okay, it becomes automatic. Now, the next point is really, really important. I don't know if any of you have come across Rob Warren. He's based in Japan. He's a researcher. And he hasn't published this yet. This is still in progress. But he's just done a big research project on his own course books, which is like levels 1 to 5. And he found that even with a concerted effort to recycle vocabulary, he just couldn't do it. It just wasn't possible in a course book sufficiently for language acquisition kind of statistics. And he said that by adding one graded reader a week to a course book leads to a 76% increase in the vocabulary. Now, this hasn't been published yet, so you're kind of the second group to see this. I've actually got a copy of this research if anyone's interested in this. But that's quite a big increase, isn't it, in vocabulary acquisition. This isn't an attack on course books, not at all, because they do great stuff. But they can't be expected to do everything. Okay. And just by adding one graded reader a week,